what I can tell you is you're referring to the Richmond product, which was a single product by a single field office, which as soon as I found out about it, I was aghast and ordered it withdrawn and removed from FBI systems.
All right, that's the FBI director a few months ago talking about a memo from the Richmond field office targeting Catholic groups as domestic terrorists. As you heard, he said one office, and he took care of it. Now there's serious questions whether or not that's true. The House Judiciary Committee just released this statement. The FBI Richmond field office coordinated with multiple FBI field offices across the country to produce the memo targeting traditional Catholics as potential domestic terrorists. The starting revelation contradicts Director Wray's testimony before the committee when he stated the FBI's actions were limited to, as you heard, quote, a single field office. Father Gerald Murray is with us now. Father, it's good to see you, sir. I appreciate it. I'm guessing this doesn't come as a surprise to you.
No, because unfortunately, religion in America has become a subject for suspicion and opposition, particularly, I'm sad to say, by the Democratic Party and liberals in general. And it shouldn't be that way. In America, we have a constitutional right to practice our faith. Dogma from God is a gift from heaven. We believe in it and we want to defend it. So I think people who don't like what the Catholic Church teaches should show respect and restraint and not use the FBI to try and shut us down.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the founders had a thought on that in the First Amendment, but there you go. FBI memo on February 14th. FBI Richmond assesses the increasingly observed interest in racially or ethnically motivated violent extremisms in radical traditional Catholic ideology. Almost certainly presents opportunities for threat mitigation through the exploration of new avenues for tripwire and source development. FBI Richmond assesses RMVE interest in RTCs is likely to increase in the next 12 to 24 months in the run-up to the next general election cycle. Is that sort of a solution or a government investigation in search of a problem, or do they have a legitimate point that there are certain people who are taking their faith and, albeit twisting it, but too far?
No, I think it's an absurd allegation. It is far from the truth. The fact that Catholics who like the Latin Mass may vote Republican doesn't mean that they are enemies of the country. And certainly to, go all throughout the country, more than one field office kind of working together to find a conspiracy to be domestic terrorists. This is absurd. This is wrong. I was a Navy chaplain for 11 years in the reserves. Catholics are an integral part of this nation in all aspects. Catholic men and women put down their lives for this country. Now we're having the FBI show up at Mass to find out if we're terrorists. This is ridiculous.
No argument in terms of what the Catholic faith has done and continues to do good things for America. Massachusetts is now banning faithful Catholics from adopting children. This is the lawsuit. Only one reason was given for the denial of this adoption. They would not be affirming to a child who identifies as LGBTQIA. Department of Child and Family Resources recorded Kitty and Mike are devoutly Roman Catholic and not only attend church with regular frequency, they both also work for local churches as musicians. I'm trying to figure this out because it's normally that the people who are church going and who are faithful, who the state looks to provide acts of charity, and now they're being punished for it. I don't get it.
I don't get it either, except for hostility on the part of that government official to the teachings of the church. And I wonder, are they going to issue a policy statement that Muslims and Orthodox Jews are forbidden to adopt or to be foster parents because they won't so-called affirm LGBT plus people? Basically, what we have is here the sexual revolution is being used by some people in government to try and marginalize, cancel, and shut out the Catholic religion and other religions. This is not right. There's no national unanimity in law about any of this stuff. So you have to let people who are Catholic teach Catholicism and people who are Jewish to teach Judaism. And when they want to help students or children who need a helping hand, that's not a threat to them. These parents, I was reading about it, they're going to be charitable to the child. They're not going to try to force anything upon the child, but they will give witness to their belief. And isn't that what we all do? We believe things and we live it. And if others disagree, well, that's their right, but they have no right to shut me down.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.